Well, junk fishing by definition really means you've got nothing going on. You don't have any specific pattern. So what we do when we're junk fishing is we just fish what's right there in front of us. We might have a dock that we're pitching to, and then we've got a lay down, and then we've got a weed bed, and then maybe we've got a point, and we're just picking up different rods and lures and techniques based on what we're seeing right there. So the first thing that junk fishing can do for us, it can really teach us or help us as anglers get better at fishing the entire water column. Now we can fish the top pretty effectively. As anglers, we can fish the bottom pretty effectively, but it's the middle part of that water column that often gives us fits. And when we're junk fishing, fishing that middle part is important. And there's a couple ways that we can do it. You can use horizontal presentations, right, that get down in the water column, you know, swim jigs, jerk baits, those types of things. But a wacky rig, for example, can cover that middle part of the water column really effectively with that slow sink. Now, I'm not going to fish it, you know, in 30 foot of water, you know, most likely, but if I'm working around docks and things like that, so we can hit the top part, hit the middle part, focus on that middle part, and then hit that bottom part and use whatever the bass are doing when you get some bites, when you catch a fish. Be very aware of what was going on and what part of the water column they came from. Another benefit of junk fishing is it often makes us fish places we probably wouldn't have otherwise if there was a decent bite going on or we could get our traditional places going. Let me give you a perfect example. There was one time on one of the Ozark lakes, I really had nothing going on, couldn't get anything figured out, and I came across what we call a do-nothing bank. It just looks awful, doesn't look like you would want to fish it. Most anglers just blow right by it. Well, I was working some square bill crankbaits, and then I got into this do-nothing bank, and to make it even worse, it was kind of like a muddy, shallow, flat tapering off this bank on top of it. But since I was so clueless at that point, I went ahead and I started to fish it. Well, before long, I realized there was submerged timber out on this flat, well off the shoreline. And I was well off the shoreline because it was so shallow and tapering so slowly. I started to catch fish on this wood, on this do-nothing bank. And just so many other anglers were running by in their boats. Nobody was thinking to stop right here. So in my personal situation, that really taught me we can't assume that an area is going to be no good, or we can't really limit ourselves to things that we have done in the past that have always been successful. So junk fishing gives you that opportunity to explore new areas and places that you thought in the past were no good. And last, junk fishing can just be fun, kind of switching around between different things. Some days I really enjoy it. And hey, if you want to watch a video that talks about a huge misconception in bass fishing, go ahead and check this one out right here. And make sure that you go out and encourage someone today. You never know how you might just change their life. For the Bass Fishing Life, I'm your host, Steve Rogers.